Hi guys! You might be wondering, why is math so different today? Why are we learning about presidents and voting? Does anybody have a guess? That's right, it's November 3rd. If you're in the building, that means you have a half day. And if you're at home, that means you're probably seeing your mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, or older siblings go out and vote if they haven't already voted. So we've been talking about the election a lot. We've been talking about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and we've been talking about Donald Trump and Mike Pence. We're going to talk some more about them, and then today you're going to have the opportunity to vote for one of these candidates. You just watched a video about who the president is and why he or she is so important. They make a lot of really important choices. They decide judges who decide really big rules for our country. They decide if they think laws should be a part of our country or if laws should not be a part of our country. You have the voice to go and vote for whoever you think is right for the United States. So we've already been talking about this a lot. We've talked about the debates, about what a debate is. And this is our last time we're going to talk about it before they start taking each of the votes and decide who won to be president of the United States for 2020 to 2024. So I found this really cool website, and I'm going to put it on the Google Classroom as well, so you guys can explore if you'd like. But it says Election 2020, and there's a bunch of different kids who are out there talking about Joe Biden and Donald Trump and who they want to vote for and why. There's a lot of different issues that Donald Trump and Joe Biden disagree on. There's the pandemic response, or how they're dealing with the coronavirus. There's racial justice, or whether or not they support Black Lives Matter. Just a reminder, at KIPP, we all support Black Lives Matter, and we believe we need to be anti-racist, which means we do not like racism, and we are actively showing that Black Lives Matter. The economy, or how people make money. Healthcare, like if people have to pay to go to the doctor. Climate change, like how important it is that we don't litter. Education, like you at school right now. Immigration, like people like grandmas or grandpas, mom, dad, siblings coming from Mexico or Guatemala into the United States and what laws are fair for them. And America in the world, so how the United States talks to other countries all around the world. Here are our two candidates, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. We're going to start with Donald Trump. Then we're going to talk about Joe Biden, and we're going to talk about their differences. Once I click on Donald Trump, I can see some basic information, like that he's a Republican, which means he wants a small government and for the people to choose and have less help from the government and for them to help themselves. I see that he's 74 years old, and he took over his father's real estate business, which means he took over his father's job to sell houses. And he also sold hotels, office buildings, resorts, golf courses. He was a reality show host of The Apprentice, and he was our last president. He's our president right now. His wife is Melania. He had 2 marriages before that. He has 2 daughters and 3 sons and 10 grandchildren. Now, here we have what he thinks about each of these issues. But before we get into that, let's go to Joe Biden. Oh, and right here, if you guys want to explore, here are some of what Donald Trump is tweeting. So he says, "Make America great again. Schools must open. Democrats want to defund the police," which means putting money into education and putting less money into guns or into protective wear. So now let's go to Joe Biden and let's see a little bit about him. And again, you can visit this website for as long as you'd like. So now I've got Joe Biden. Joe Biden is a Democrat, which means he thinks the government a part of the government's job is helping people. And that there should be more government so that people who are poor can get more resources. He graduated from law school, so he was a lawyer. He was in the U.S. Senate for a long time, so he's worked in the government, and he was the vice president of Barack Obama. His wife is Jill, and his first wife was killed in a car crash about 40 years ago, along with his daughter, Ashley. He has two sons and Bo and Hunter. One of his sons also died in 2015, and he has 7 grandchildren. Joe Biden is a really compassionate person because he's had a couple of kids who've passed away. Then we can see his tweets. He says, "We have the power to write the future we want for this country. One where healthcare is a right, which means people go to the doctor for free. We lead the world in the fight against climate change, which means we don't want to litter or put bad things out in the air so people can breathe better." And he says, "Let's do it together." He says, "America was founded on the promise of equality, treating each person equally, liberty and justice for all, and it's long past time we lived up to it." So now let's start comparing Donald Trump and Joe Biden. First, we've got the pandemic response, and I'm going to quickly summarize these, and then you can think for yourself about which one you support. Donald Trump has focused on making a vaccine, and he's largely left it up to each state to make different rules against the coronavirus. He wants everything to open very quickly so that the economy, or how people make money, is better. So he thinks that schools should be open, the grocery stores should be open, the restaurants and bars should be open, stores, everything should be open so that people are making money. Joe Biden says that we need to have a better governmental plan because a lot of people are dying. He says that we should have more testing and better hospitals to treat sick people from the coronavirus. He says in order to start the economy safely or for people to make money, that people need to have more aid or help to businesses and workers so that if a worker is too sick to go to work, then the government will give them some money and they'll still be able to be okay. Racial justice. Trump says that under him, Black and Latino people were getting a lot more work than usual. But he also says that people who are protesting against the police violence are not kind and they're not doing a good job. Joe Biden says that racism is a really big problem and he wants to help Black people. He also thinks that the government should be in charge of making sure that the police are not being violent, and he says that Black lives matter. There are some other things that we're going to go over here. There's the economy, healthcare, climate change, and we're just going to talk about a couple of them. So for climate change, or how our world is doing, Trump said that he doesn't really know how much climate change matters. He says, "I don't really know how much humans are adding to the world being a problem," right? He's like, there's a bunch of ice cubes and glaciers that are melting, but it's not the humans' fault. He says that the United States is not going to participate with other countries that are going to be helping the environment by telling businesses to use less harmful things that go into the air. Biden says that climate change is a really big threat, and he says that businesses should not be putting bad things into the environment, like carbon emissions. He says that he should hold businesses that pollute or litter accountable. So he should say, "Hey, businesses, if you're polluting, no bueno. That's no good." And he says they should be held accountable, so they should get a consequence. We've got education, immigration. Immigration. Trump says that people should not be coming into our country. He says that Mexicans, Guatemalans, South Americans, some people from Europe, Eastern Asia, or rather Eastern Europe, the Middle East, should not be coming into the country. He says that the United States should stay with only people who live in the United States. Biden says that immigrants are really important to us. They work hard in this country, and a lot of the time they come here to make a better life for their families. So now that we've gone over some of these, you're going to get to vote. So on the next slide, you're going to vote on who you think should be president, Trump or Biden. If you're in the classroom, feel free to pause this video and have a discussion amongst yourselves about what you believe. And remember, your vote is private. You don't have to share who you're voting for if you don't want to. This is your choice. Your vote is so, so important for what's going to happen to our country. So we're going to do a practice vote now so that when you're old enough, you get to vote for real. It's a very exciting day. Have fun.